Masterclass of Chiron in Toro. Okay, the economic good and your real value. In this video, I will be explaining to you everything that is related with the entering of Chiron in the sign of Toro. We have to understand that this is a 7-year transit, and this is going to touch our zone, our Taurus zone, that is related with value, is related with resources, is related with money, finances, the way that you use your money, the things that you have, the thing that you want, okay, and everything that's related also with your value, with your own self-esteem and your own sense of value in the things that you do, the services that you bring, your job, everything that is related with your body also, because Toro is related with the body, and all the things that are related with the economic and financial situation that is going in right now with the cycle of the world and everything that we are seeing happening in geopolitical astrology. So I welcome you all, and I will be sharing with you these slides, okay, with this masterclass. And remember that Chiron is going to be in Toro until the 2033, same time, same cycle as Uranus in Gemini. Okay, so that is something really important because everything that Uranus is doing in the aspect of Gemini, which is related with our minds, our ideas, our communication, the commercial relationship between countries and the way that those relationships are now, I don't know, um, going around, okay, and everything that is related also with the way that you are making business right now, and everything that also is connected with Chiron in Toro is talking about the new world, this new beginning of things, the new sense of economic goods and resources, as I said before. And this is really important because we are going to see how everything is going to change. I think that you might feel it, sense it right now. Everything is changing, but everything is going to be changing really, really fast and big more. Okay, so let's talk about this in this masterclass. Chiron in Taurus, the economic wound, and your real value. 7-year transit. We are going to see this in collective and personal applications. Okay, what you will learn in this class, what is Chiron and why does it matter now, what happened in the world with Chiron was in Toro in the past. This is really important. The collective economic wound, personal application, okay, and work questions and closing, obviously, and the all ascendants. We are going to see something about your ascendant sign, your rising sign. So if you have your chart, please go and check out your ascendant, and also where do you have Chiron, your native Chiron, okay, your natal Chiron, and where is also your Taurus zone. Remember that if you are around your 50 years, maybe you are going to have your Chiron return, and that is talking about some wound that you maybe check in some reviewing of your natal chart, and this is going to show you again the same themes. Okay, so Chiron is not a planet of suffering. This is important to understand because Chiron is the healer that first he suffers a wound, and we have to take the side of not staying in the victim, that this is something that happened to me in the past and I am the victim of some circumstances. uh, the Chiron idea is that you can take that wound and give you the strength to carry on and transform that in your personal power. Okay, that is the goal about Chiron. Okay, it is a point in the chart where a wound went unresolved, and for that reason, become visible right now. What is exposed can be worked on. What stayed hidden cannot. So it's important that you go to your chart, see where you have Chiron with themes touches in your house, in your chart, which house, and also if you are around your 50s again, this is your return. Okay, what it touches in Toro, okay? Not a symbolic value, is the material value. If as our self-esteem, the value that you give yourself, and also the value that you give to everything that is around you, okay? So this is money and personal resources, the body as lived territory, land and what is owned or feared to be lost, what you believe you deserve to earn, what you fear losing, the link between effort and reward. Okay, so the complete cycle is in between 2026 and 2033. Okay, on June 19, the next week is the first entry into Toro. Okay, and on August the 3rd goes retrograde and in the first degrees of Toro. September 17th returns to Aries retrograde, and this is really important. Why? Because we've been seeing the wound with the, I think it's the warrior wound with Chiron in Aries, and remember that Chiron was the first actor, you know, in the last eclipses that happened in the axis of Aries Libra. So something about your Aries zone was a kind of wound, was kind of maybe you felt like you've been losing power, or maybe enthusiasm of doing things. Okay, and then this wound of Chiron transforms in something that you have to resolve, review, revalue, so you can take your warrior again outside and go for the things that you want, specifically in the 0 degrees of Aries with the start of a Saturn Neptune cycle. Okay, and now he's going back to Aries because he wants to finish these themes, okay? Touching everything that maybe keep on going in your life, but this is the moment where the energy is saying, okay, this has to end, and it has to end it right now because it's going to be related with the wound in your value and in your resources. Okay, so specifically, I recommend you all that you go to your Aries zone, check out what happened in the last 7, 8 years, and what things you think that you learn, which kind of proofs you feel that you worked there. Okay, because now is the moment where you have to put everything that you have in your power to transform your I think that devaluation of yourself in power, extreme power, and um, I don't know, this kind of energy of going for the things that you want. Okay, so in January the 6th turns direct in Aries again, and in April 14, 2027, re-enters in Toro and stays until 2033. Okay, so this is how the cycle is going to be complete, and we are going to see that the retrograde is not a step backward. Okay, Chiron enters in Toro, reveals the wound, then returns to Aries to give you a final period of closure with what remained unsolved. Okay, pay attention to this and work with these things because now Chiron is presenting you papers. Okay, but when he is going back in 2027, he's coming with everything that he has. Okay, so when it returns in April 2027, the cycle settles in for the full 7 years. Okay, so those born between 1976 and 1983 have natal Chiron in Toro. Go to your chart and check that out. This transit activates the Chiron return, one of the most intense astrological moments of the adult life cycle. Okay, so what happened in the world when Chiron was in Toro in the past? Every time Chiron was in Toro, the world faced the same gund. Three historical cycles, one repeating pattern. Not coincidence, the expression of a collective gund that returns every 50 years to be revisited. So in 1876, 1884, the Long Depression, a global economic contraction that lasted nearly 2 decades, sovereign debts crisis across multiple countries, collapse of agricultural prices, land and basic resources became territories and of conflicts between nations and classes. And this is something that you are seeing right now, okay? Because we have right now um, um, a sovereign debt crisis across the world, and this is going to be getting more profound. We are going to see in the next month and years the collapse of agricultural prices, not also because Crichton is getting here, but also because of the climate changes. Okay, land and basic resources become territories of conflicts. This is something we are seeing right now with the conflict between United States and Iran and everything that is related with oil and resources, of conflict between nations and classes. The pattern: inequality in access to resources exposed for the first time at a global scale. 1926, 1934, the Great Depression, okay, especially in US, the collapse of the global financial system in United States alone, prices fell 33%, mass unemployment, and simultaneously the obscene display of elite wealth in the middle of collective misery. The gap between those who had and those who did not become impossible to ignore. And this is something that is going to be happening again. Okay, that gap in between people who are in the misery, who cannot access to a house, conditions of life, work, salaries, everything is going to be falling down. And we are going to see again that gap. And I think that concept of middle class is going to be collapsing. Okay. Chiron in Toro did not only brings poverty, it brought the brutal exposure of inequality. In between 1976 1984, oil crisis, neoliberalism, and the body as territory. Uh, the crisis of oil, worst economic performance since the Great Depression, which was the the entering of Chiron nearly or in the first place. Okay, the Great Depression, as we see before, the rise of Thatcher and Reagan, redefining the relationship between labor, value, and market. Iranian revolution and control of energy resources as geopolitical access, as you can see it right now. Right now, this is happening again. Okay, and this is not a coincidence. In geopolitical astrology specifically, we study cycles. Okay, cycles. What happened when some planet was in some place, and that is something that we are going to see again. Not in the same scenario, obviously, because we are not in the same place in the same spot, but with the differences through the years, but the same. I think it's the same basics. And this is amazing how is absolutely the same themes: Iranian revolution and control of energy resources as geopolitical access. Solidarity movement in Poland, protest over food shortage. Uh, and in parallel, the first IVF baby born eradication of smallpox, the body as a territory of transformation. Okay? This is the repeating pattern. Who has access to basic resources and who doesn't? How much is work really worth, and who decide that? Who is deciding that? Okay, what the economic system does to people bodies, the real distance between those who accumulate and those who have nothing. Okay, and 2026, 2033, the cycle returns. Okay, Chiron does not bring the crisis, it arrives when the crisis is already there and puts it under direct light. So, what this means is like, it's not that the crisis is going to be starting with Chiron getting into Toro. The crisis is already here, but now we are going to be having that, the light focus there. We are going to see everything as a big theme, as a big thing, and that is the specific movement, of Chiron inside in Toro. So, as I said, Chiron does not bring the crisis; it arrives when the crisis is already there and put it under direct light. Sovereign debt at historic levels across multiple countries. This is something that we are seeing right now happening, and it's getting profound. Housing access crisis across the developed world. Okay, more and more people is with this difficulty of having a house, and not only to buy maybe your own house, but is a problem also with people who wants to rent, so this is a crisis that is going to be also getting more and more profound. Inflation that eroded a generation purchasing power, artificial intelligence redefining the labor market, something that I've been talking about in my other channel in Spanish, around, like, I don't know, maybe the last 2 years. But this is something that I will be talking here also about, this thing of the, I think the working class is going to be replaced by AI and everything that is related with the innovation, and people will have to find new ways to create resources. That is why exactly Chiron in Toro is the resources wound. Okay, and at last, climate crisis pressing on natural resources. I think this is going to be a big theme also, because we are seeing right now, um, in the last years, the big crisis with the climate crisis, and this is getting worse. Okay, getting worse, so much worse. Chiron in Toro does not describe a crisis that is coming. It describes the exposure of a wound that was already there. The system that organized the relationship between people and resources have been showing for years that they don't work as promised. Chiron in Toro puts them under direct light. This is something that now is going to be in front of us. Okay, um, work and produced value, the discontent between what is worth and what is paid. Okay, precarity as the norm, the platform economy converting labor into service without rights. This is something that we are going to be seeing um, everywhere. Okay, um, the precarity as the norm. The question Chiron asks here is not economic, it is existential. How much is what you do worth? And who decides that? That is something that is related with, as I said before, the cycle of Uranus in Gemini, because Uranus is a planet of independency, like I think is related with the people that have their own enterprises or their own projects, or and not at the people who is working for somebody. I think that those kind of works are going to be ending, are going to be less and less everywhere. People will be replaced with machines, and I think the big challenge that we are going to have is to have something or found something that you can do, okay, something that is special in yourself, what you have to bring others, what you can teach others, what you can give to others, and transform that in your resource, and the way that you make money. So I think it's a moment where we have to explore ourselves and see which capabilities we have, and put that in the scene, because I think the working class as we know it is going to be ending. Okay, so land and basic resources. This is a big theme also. Access to housing, food, and energy. Okay, I invite you all to put this in, in red, okay, because you are going to remember me. Chiron in Toro exposed that the relationship with basic resources is broken for a huge part of the population, and that this rupture is not new. That is not new. What this means, that something we've been seeing, lately. It's not something that one day you wake up and you say, "Oh my God, what is happening here?" I think something is like growing, growing, and is more and more um, in the spotlight. Okay, so is the exposing the relationship with basic resources, and when I speak about basic resources, as this slide say, is housing, is food, and is energy. Okay, it simply become impossible to ignore. Okay, land and basic resources, remember that. The body as economic territory. Okay, Taurus rules the body. Chiron here touches the way the economic system inhabits bodies. Chiron exhaustion, the physical cost of sustaining an economy that does not sustain you. Okay, um, I think that people are going to be really exhausted, and really with this, I think mostly the theme is going to be like the psychological, exhaustion. Okay, the pressure that you are going to be feeling, because maybe money will not be the same, or you will not be able to um, get the same things, you know and the same quality of life, and that is going to be making people so exhausted, and specifically psychologically, I think. Health as a privilege, illness linked to work, the body pain for what the mind has not yet processed. And that is the same that I said uh, before. Okay. Self worth, the most personal layer. Okay. This is really important, the self worth, your self esteem, and how you value yourself, the things that you do, as I said. This is a collective wound that is hardest to see because it feels individual. The belief that abundance is not for you, okay? That asking for a fair compensation is excessive, the scarcity is natural or deserved. Maybe this is something that you learned in your family, or something that you saw around you, and you have to review your beliefs, okay? Also, a cultural pattern, not an individual one. Chiron in Toro makes it visible so it can be examined and changed. Okay, three entry points into your chart. Okay, The house where Toro falls, okay, so you go with see your chart, check your chart, where you have the Toro zone. The area of life is touching right now, okay? Natal Chiron defines the original texture of the wound and its history. Natal planets activated conjunction, opposition, and squares, where the pressures arrives. So it's important that you go there and check out if you have planets in Toro, if you have planets in Leo, if you have planets in Scorpio, if you have planets in Aquarius, because Chiron is going to be making squares with Leo and Aquarius, and it's going to be in an opposition with Scorpio. And also, if you have planets in Tauro himself, this Chiron will activate them. Okay, so it's important that you have your chart, that you have your transits revision now, so you can see and like you can take advantage of this if you know it before this is happening. Okay. Chiron, the texture of the wound. Where Chiron sits in your natal chart defines the prior history of the wound. The current transit activated, but the wound has roots. Okay? Natal Chiron in Toro, the transit is a direct return. The economic wound circles back itself. Okay? So, something that maybe you felt in the past as a wound, now this Chiron is coming here and is going deeper in that theme. So, you have to work about it. You have to take some, you know, awareness of that, and you can change yourself from the victim to the healer with that power or with that energy. Natal Chiron in Scorpio, the transits arrive by opposition. The wound is activated through what others possess or share. Okay, remember that Scorpio is the house of taxes, is the house of debts, is the house of I don't know, everything that is related with maybe inheritance. Okay, and of course, if you have the Chiron wound in your finances, you have to check out if you are in debt with in some way, because that is something to review, because it's going to be making a lot of pressure. Okay, so natal planets activated by Chiron in Taurus. Conjunction planets in Taurus. See, if you have planets in Taurus, Chiron will be making conjunctions. Okay, will activate those planets. Chiron transits directly over them. Oppositions, planets that you have in Scorpio, Chiron tensions them from the opposite side of the axis. And squares, planets in Leo or Aquarius. Chiron pressures them at 90 degrees angle, that is square. Okay, and that is something really important because in Leo we are going to be having um, the enter of Jupiter. He will be staying there for a year, and also we are going to be seeing the south lunar node, and in Aquarius we are going to have the north lunar node, and also in Aquarius we have Pluto now. So as you can see, this is not some event isolated. This is the part of a big map or a big scene. Okay, so don't take only the which is related with this Chiron in Toro specifically. You have to go and check out your Leo zone, your Aquarius zone, your Scorpio zone. Okay, and as I said before, Leo Leo is going to be in a big crisis of identity, of self-esteem, because the South Lunar Node is saying something is not working as it used to, and Jupiter brings you expansion, like a big moment of growth, if you want. But with this effect of the south lunar node, is kind of a condition. If you cannot close um, that expectation of being like receiving the approval of others, if you cannot approve yourself first, that expansion is not going to be around you. Remember that Jupiter expands everything that he touch. Not only good things, can also expand complicated things or bad things. Okay, so you have to see the big picture, the whole movie. Okay, go there and check out also where you have Aquarius zone, because Pluto is there. Pluto is transforming something in your Aquarius zone, and all that is related with your freedom, with the need of have a new goal in your life, okay, new environments, maybe new connections, okay, and this Chiron will be fighting with that access. And something that is the most important, I think, is that the axis of Aquarius and Leo is now going to be the lead actor of the eclipses, okay, starting right now in August 2026. So the first um, moments of Chiron in Toro are going to be, I think, really, really intense, okay, because he is going to be connected with everything that is making pressure right now in the big scene. Okay, so Leo simultaneously pressure accumulation. Okay, those with planets in Leo do not receive only Chiron square. South Lunar Node, as I said before, calls you for closure and release of what no longer serves you. Jupiter entering in Leo amplifies everything it touches. The wound around value and recognition expands and at the same time demands letting go something. Okay. In Aquarius, the wound in the middle of the demolition with Pluto. Those with planets in Aquarius have Pluto transiting that territory. Pluto in Aquarius is already dismantling structures, systems, and collective identities, and Chiron square rise over an ongoing transformation process. For these people specifically, Chiron does not arrive alone. It makes it impossible to keep ignoring what has been pending. Okay? So, if you have an ascendant rising sign in Aries, Chiron will be touching your second house. Okay. The economic wound touches your resources and personal value directly. What you charge, what you accumulate, what you believe you deserve. Those things. Okay. So go there and review. If you have a rising sign in Toro, this is touching your house one, okay? The wound touches your identity, your body, how you present yourself to the world, your relationship with your physical presence. If you were born between 76 and 83, this is your Chiron return, one of the most intense cycle in adults' lives. If you have your rising sign in Gemini, this is your 12th house. The wounds operate in the unconscious, what is hidden, what is not said, what is processed in solitude. Chiron in the 12th house works with from within. Okay, the economic pain is felt in private but not yet shown to the world. If you have your rising sign in Cancer, this touches your 11th house. The wound touches collective bonds, groups, and future projects, the relationship with community, peers, shared dreams. Where do you feel you don't quite belong, even when you are inside? Okay, but you are like right now feeling like this is not my place anymore, you know? Rising sign in Leo. The wound touches career, reputation, and public standing. You also receive the simultaneous activation of the South Lunar Node and Jupiter in Leo directly on your rising sign. expansion and closure happening at the same time in your most visible area. Okay. Uh, for those who are ascendant in Virgo, the house 9, your beliefs. The moon touches beliefs, personal philosophy, and expansion. The ceiling isn't coming from outside, it's coming from what you believe is possible for you. The belief that your local market is the only one available is exactly what Chiron is questioning. Okay? For those who have rising in Libra, the eighth house is the theme. The wound touches shared resources, debt, and economic agreements implicit in relationships, what you own to others and what others own you. Not only financially, but in terms of power and independency or dependency. Okay. If you are rising in Scorpio, your themes are the house 7, relationship with others. The moon touches one on one relationship and contracts. Chiron in opposition to your ascendant places the wound of value and resources exactly in the space of the relationship. What hurts you about the other is showing you something about your own wound. For those who have rising sign in Sagittarius, the wound touches daily work, health, and habits. The chronic exhaustion that gets normalized, the health that gets neglected because there is always more to produce. Chiron here exposed the disproportion between what you give and what you receive. If you have a rising sun in Capricorn, the house 5 is your theme. Here also you have to check out about your if you have sons, okay, because something related with them could be a wound for you in these years, okay. The wound touches creativity, genuine expression, and pleasure. The belief that creativity cannot be a source of income. The difficulty in pricing what comes from genuine enjoyment. Because if you enjoy doing it, how could it be worth some money? Okay. If you have rising sun in Aquarius, the moon touches home, family, of origin, and inherited patterns. The messages you receive about money growing up operates as basic assumptions. So you have to go there and check out what kind of relationship your family had with money. Okay, uh, if you maybe have those messages, in your mind right now as a symbol, and you have to be asking yourself if you believe that this is true for you in this moment in time. Okay, you also have with Aquarius rising, you also have Pluto transiting your ascendant. Okay, structural transformation of your identity happening simultaneously. So maybe you have to see the wound on that on those beliefs, because something in you is now changing and dying, and I don't know, transforming. Okay, so this is going hand by hand. If you have a rising sign in Pisces, the wound touches communication, your voice, and your daily environment. Okay, um, the difficulty saying what you think without softening it first, the feeling that what you have to say is not valid enough. Chiron here also touches how you communicate your value and when you go silent. Okay, so here you have to check out if you give yourself the value of your ideas, um, your creativity in terms of communicating something, you know and also how or who worth or not the things that you have to say. But first, you need to give yourself that worth, because if you don't recognize yourself and your voice, you know, if you think, or maybe, like are expecting that somebody approves your words, and you don't value those things yourself. Well, this Chiron will be making this wound more profound for you, and maybe you are going to be feeling like anybody is hearing what you have to say, anybody is giving the importance to those things that you have to say. But specifically, I think is your own recognition, of the things that you have to say. Okay, so let's see. Economic area and resources. How much of what you charge reflects what your work is truly worth? I leave you here some questions with who you can work with this transit. I highly recommend you that you maybe write down your answers, and then in, I don't know, in a month or maybe sometime, you come here and check that out and see if you answer the same way. Okay, what is your family history with money, and how is that story still operating in your economic decisions today? What would you need to release a belief, a situation, an economic relationship for resources to flow differently? What do you need to release? A fear of something, you know? What is? Okay? Chiron does not promise automatic healing, it promises visibility. This is really important because this is not something that, okay, Chiron is going through Taurus, so the, the healer is here. You need to work in it. Okay, you need to work with these themes. The next 7 years are not a period of suffering, they are a period of concrete work with the most material wound that exists, the relationship between who you are and what you have and what you think you value. Okay, so check that out. And remember that you can book a session at carolinamar.com if you want to see um, which planets Chiron is activating in your chart, specifically which house, which planet, which exact moments of the cycles. Okay, so I invite you all to go there and visit and see all the services that I have in my website. Okay, so thank you all for watching, and I invite you all to see and review this video once again, because this is a lot of information, and this transit is 7 year long, so it's not something that is happening right now. It's something that we are going to be working on for the next years. Okay, so thank you all for watching, and I see you in the next video.